Most people think getting rich starts with money, but psychology says it usually starts with something much darker than that. A moment where your life becomes so painful, so frustrating, so exhausting that your brain quietly decides, I cannot live like this forever. And that single decision changes everything, because people who build wealth from nothing are rarely the most talented people in the room. They are usually the people who became mentally allergic to staying stuck. While others wait for motivation, permission, or perfect timing, they slowly develop psychological patterns that separate them from everyone around them. The money often comes years later, but the mindset appears first. And once that mindset is built, their entire life starts moving differently. Here are 5 psychological traits commonly found in people who get rich from zero. The first is that they stop romanticizing comfort. Most people secretly organize their lives around emotional comfort, comfortable routines, comfortable distractions, comfortable excuses. But people who rise from nothing eventually realize something painful. Comfort is expensive. Every hour spent escaping discomfort quietly steals future freedom. So their relationship with pain begins to change. They stop seeing discomfort as punishment and start seeing it as evidence of growth. Psychology calls this delayed gratification, the ability to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term reward. But for self-made people, it becomes deeper than that. They become willing to endure seasons of boredom, uncertainty, loneliness, and repetition because they understand something most people never fully accept. Success is usually built during invisible years nobody applauds. While others chase dopamine, entertainment, and instant relief, they are quietly building tolerance for the slow process of becoming valuable. They understand that wealth is rarely created through one dramatic breakthrough. It is built through hundreds of small decisions, repeated long after excitement disappears. And psychologically, that ability to continue without immediate reward gives them an enormous advantage over people who only move when they feel motivated. The second trait is psychological separation from their current reality. This is where most people lose. When someone stays broke for too long, their identity often fuses with their circumstances. They stop saying, I am struggling, and start believing, this is just who I am. But people who eventually escape poverty think differently. Even when their bank account is empty, they refuse to let temporary conditions become permanent identity. Psychology shows that identity drives behavior more than motivation ever will. Your brain constantly tries to act in alignment with who you believe you are. And self-made people begin changing that internal identity long before external success arrives. They may still be working low-paying jobs, still failing, still confused. But internally, they stop viewing themselves as victims of their environment. They begin acting like builders instead of survivors. And that subtle psychological shift changes the decisions they make every single day. Instead of asking, why does life keep happening to me? They start asking, what can I build from this? That difference sounds small, but it completely changes the direction of a person's future. Because the moment someone starts identifying as a creator instead of a victim, their brain begins searching for opportunities instead of excuses. And over time, those opportunities compound. The third trait is that they become addicted to progress instead of perfection. This is one of the biggest differences between dreamers and builders. Most people wait until they feel ready, ready to start the business, ready to post the content, ready to learn the skill, ready to take the risk. But psychologically, readiness is often just fear wearing a more intelligent disguise. People who rise from zero understand something important very early. Confidence does not come before action. It comes from action. So instead of obsessing over perfect timing, they start moving while uncertain. They embarrass themselves. They fail publicly. They make bad decisions. But every mistake gives them data. And psychology shows that the brain learns faster through action than through endless planning. Over time, they develop what researchers call growth orientation, the belief that ability can expand through repetition and adaptation. They stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will this teach me?" That mindset alone separates them from thousands of people trapped inside overthinking forever. Because overthinking feels productive. But most of the time, it is simply fear disguised as preparation. Self-made people eventually realize that clarity usually appears after movement, not before it. So they stop waiting for certainty and start building momentum instead. And this is where their lives slowly begin separating from everyone else. Small wins become confidence. Confidence becomes skill. Skill becomes opportunity. Most people only notice success at the end. They never see the years where somebody was quietly building competence while nobody believed in them. The fourth trait is emotional tolerance for risk. Most people want extraordinary lives while avoiding extraordinary uncertainty. But wealth almost always demands uncertainty first, starting over, leaving stable environments, investing money you cannot afford to waste, learning skills nobody around you understands, walking into rooms where you feel completely behind. Psychology shows that successful people are not fearless. They simply become better at functioning while uncomfortable. They train their nervous system to stop treating uncertainty like danger. And this matters because the human brain naturally prefers familiarity over growth. Even painful routines can feel safer than unfamiliar opportunities. That is why so many people stay trapped in environments they hate. Their nervous system confuses predictability with safety. But self-made people slowly break that conditioning. They stop needing certainty before taking action. They learn to survive temporary instability because they become more focused on long-term freedom than short-term comfort. And eventually, risk stops feeling terrifying. It starts feeling necessary. They realize that nearly every major opportunity in life hides behind temporary discomfort. The uncomfortable phone call, the uncomfortable meeting, the uncomfortable investment, the uncomfortable beginning. Most people spend their lives running away from those moments. Self-made people slowly train themselves to walk toward them instead. The fifth trait is that pain becomes fuel instead of identity. And this may be the deepest psychological difference of all. Many people experience rejection, humiliation, financial stress, insecurity, or struggle. But not everyone transforms that pain into momentum. Some people become consumed by bitterness. Others become driven by it. Self-made people often carry invisible memories that quietly shape their ambition. The embarrassment of not being able to afford something, watching their parents struggle, feeling powerless, feeling overlooked while everyone else seemed to move forward. Psychology shows that emotionally intense experiences create stronger motivational patterns in the brain. Because survival emotions increase focus and persistence. In simple terms, pain creates energy, and people who rise from zero learn how to direct that energy instead of drowning inside it. They do not chase wealth only for status. They chase relief, freedom, control, security, the ability to never return to the version of life that once made them feel powerless. And this is why many self-made people appear unusually disciplined compared to everyone else. What looks like discipline on the outside is often emotional survival on the inside. They remember what it felt like to have nothing, and that memory quietly pushes them forward long after motivation disappears. But here is the part most people misunderstand about becoming rich from nothing. It is rarely just a financial transformation. It is a psychological reconstruction. Before the money appears, the mind changes first. The way they think about time changes. The way they respond to discomfort changes. The way they see failure changes. The way they see themselves changes. And once those internal patterns shift, their external life slowly begins shifting too. Because wealth is usually built twice, first mentally, then financially. Most people only notice the second part. But psychology says the first part is where everything actually begins. And maybe that is why two people can start in the exact same situation, while only one escapes it. One keeps protecting comfort. The other slowly becomes the kind of person who can survive growth. One waits for life to become easier. The other becomes mentally stronger. One keeps trying to avoid discomfort. The other learns how to use discomfort as direction. And in the end, that difference changes everything. Because getting rich from zero is not just about making money. It is about becoming someone your old mindset would not even recognize.